Hey, welcome to Gun Stuff. Today we have the Glock 44. This is the gun that nobody's seen coming. Nobody was expecting Glock to drop a 22 long rifle in the mix. So we're gonna break it down for you today. We'll do a quick unboxing of the Glock 44. So comes in your standard Glock case. You have your Glock 44. Comes with 2 magazines. These magazines are 10 rounds apiece. Comes with all of your standard back straps, so you can modify it to fit the same grip and feel as your standard 19 that shoots 9mm. And this Glock 44 is the same size, weight, size, dimensions, and everything as your 19. So this is going to work with all of your 19 magazines. If you already carry one, it's going to work with all your equipment, your holsters, everything that you need. So you'll be able to use this as a training supplement to your 19. So we're going to put a lot of rounds down range on this, and we're going to get back to you after we're done. All right, here we are. We're getting ready to fire our first shots with the Glock 44 chambered in 22 long rifle. Been waiting for this for a little while, so here we go. All right, that fired great. So this thing is meant to be just like a Glock 19, feels just like a regular Glock 19. Of course, it feels a little bit lighter, but we'll get into the specs of that a little bit. We're gonna keep loading mags, and we're gonna keep sending rounds down range. All right, so he's already shot a couple mags at 10 yards, so now we're back here to 20. So I'm going to start on the 20-yard line. All right, so I think that one round that came off there, I felt a good solid striker impact on that. I think that was probably just a dud round. So, but gun fires really well. It's not moving at all. So as I'm staying on target, it's just staying right there like a sewing machine. All right, so here we are back out. We're out here at the 30-yard line, so let's go. All right, 30-yard line. As you can see, I'm hitting a little left on the target. These have adjustable sights. I haven't adjusted anything on the sights yet. We're just running them just the way they came out of the box. As you can see, as I zoom on down to the target, you can see I'm hitting just about 9 o'clock of where I'm aiming there. So we're gonna keep loading, we're gonna keep shooting. Now we're back at the 40-yard line. We're gonna send another 20 rounds down range. All right, look like they're all still staying in there pretty good. Here we are, 45 yards. We're gonna go ahead and shoot a magazine at 45, and then we'll go ahead and start stretching out to the 50. So you gotta be real careful on this to not just start snapping the trigger, because this thing shoots so easy, and it doesn't have any bounce on it. Doesn't really have any snap to it, so you just want to start snapping that trigger real quick, and of course that'll lead to poor marksmanship. So now I'm going to go out to the 50-yard target out there. All right, we're going to reload, and we're going to start stretching out a little bit further. So now we've already shot from 10 yards on out to 50 pretty steadily. Now we're gonna go ahead and start taking some little bit longer shots. We don't have any steel between 50 and 100, so I'm just gonna go straight for the 100. So here we go. All right, so the first couple was me just trying to figure out what my aiming points are gonna be. Again, we haven't touched the sights on this yet. This is just straight out of the box. So after I figured out where my aiming, I knew I was hitting a little bit to the left, so I gave it a little Kentucky windage and leaned a little bit left with it, but I didn't have to go near as far as I thought. So the first couple was hit and miss. Once I figured out my aiming point, I was pretty much just ringing the 100 yards. So out there, that 100 yard out there is probably about a 16-inch tall by 12-inch wide silhouette that I was hitting. Can't really tell where I was hitting right now. All I know is I was hitting still at 100 yards with this. So this thing's shooting pretty accurate. And I'm assuming once we started dialing in sights, it would be even better. So we might go for the 150 later, maybe even a 200, but let's go ahead and load some more bullets. So now I'm gonna go ahead and go for the 150 yard shot. We got a full-size silhouette out there, about like we got it to 50, so I'm gonna take a couple shots at it. Still, again, I haven't adjusted any of the sights or anything like that. This is just straight out of the box, me using a little bit of Kentucky windage. All right, I got about 3 of those. So what I need to do is I need to make some side adjustments and stuff like that. But after I missed my first, I missed the first one, hit a couple, and then I started kind of fishing my sights around, a little bit of Kentucky windage, and then I lost track of where I was at in those shots. But thing is at 150 yards, I was ringing still. So I think that once I get these sights dialed in, then we'll be able to consistently do that. And I got a lot of confidence in it. So let's go over and load some more mags, and we'll do a little bit of accuracy shooting and just show you guys just what kind of groups this thing can put out. So we're gonna do a little accuracy test for you here. We've already done some shooting steel, taking it out to 150 yards, hitting some. So again, I haven't adjusted the sights on these, so I'm just gonna aim at the center X that I put on here. Right now I'm at 5 yards, and I'm just gonna aim at the center X, and I'm not gonna adjust the sights at all. I'm gonna let the impact lie where it is, and then we'll go back to 10 yards and we'll shoot a slow fire 10-yard group as well. And then that way you can kind of see where it's at, and then maybe we'll start tinkering with some sights afterwards. All right? Here we go. All right. So a little bit of that was me. A couple of them didn't feel quite right. A little too much air in lungs and stuff like that. One of them I felt like I jerked a little bit. But we're gonna go ahead and go back to the 10 now. All right. Clear. All right, so this is 10 yards. We'll go ahead and go up here and take a look, see what we got. So just to reiterate what we're shooting, we haven't adjusted any sights yet. First group was pretty good. This is all my breathing, and this is a trigger jerk here. So I think that this group here is pretty much the representative of what this gun can do. I know this one was me. I know that one was me. And then as we go back, we can see in this smaller target here, we're up a little bit and to the left. As we can see, as we go back to the 10, it starts to get dramatically bigger. And just the same as what I seen at the 50 yard and the 100, which is why I was trying to use the Kentucky windage, where I was kind of trying to calculate just how far. As we go, the further we go back, the further this group is going to start to creep up this way here. So at 10 yards is probably where I would most likely want to, between 5 and 10 yards is where I would want to zero mine. So most likely like a 7 yard or something like that is where I would probably pick to zero this gun. So as you can see, this is, you know, about the thumb size group here, say 1.5 inches all the way around. Not too bad, and also, you know, you have to throw in human error. This is me jerking the trigger. This is cold morning, getting out here first to start with. But I'm very impressed with the accuracy of this, being the short barrel and everything that it is. This isn't meant to be a target gun. This is meant for training, and we'll get into a little bit of that here in a minute. But in the meantime, we're going to keep loading mags. We're going to keep shooting. All right, so here we are back at the 7 yard line. We're gonna shoot some more still, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and shoot this a little fast. I'm gonna go through 2 magazines, try and do a little speed shooting just to see how fast we can go with it, see if we're gonna have any cycling issues. All right, not sure if I'll be able to find that round to check it, but I'll look for it here and I'll see if it was a light strike or whatever it was. So, found recovered the round. So I had one round that failure to fire, but looking at the case, you know, the case had a strike, so I don't really think it was necessarily the firearm. I'm just guessing that it's just the bulk ammo that we're shooting through it. Right now we're just running through various types of bulk ammunition, and we'll have a list of all the stuff that we shot and which ones performed well and which ones performed poorly at the end of this, so that way we'll be able to give you a rundown, so that way when you're out there shopping for ammo to feed this beast, you'll know what you're looking for. So this one here had a strike. It just wasn't the ammo just didn't go off, so we'll try some more. Okay, so is this 40 grain non-corrosive is match extra. It doesn't say what the velocity. I don't see the velocity on here. Oh. All right, here we are again. Down here at 7 yard line still. We're shooting 40 grain wolf ammo through this. See how it goes. All right. All right, so we've shot 2 types of subsonic through this already, and the subs obviously aren't cycling this yet. So, but I don't expect that to be a big problem later on, because somebody's going to come out with an extra spring to be able to cycle these subs pretty well. But subs as of right now are not cycling through this very well. I'm going to go ahead and shoot 1 more magazine of subsonic wolf through this. Yep. All right, so every single one on that, but that's to be expected. Subsonics, you know, they just have lower pressure, lower velocities. The 40 grain bullet, subsonic, so we'll just keep on going, and we're going to try all the different ammos, and we'll tell you what works best. All right, so here we are now. We're gonna we're gonna run some CCI standard. This is 40 grain subs. I kind of expect the same performance as the last, chambering issues, stuff like that, but we'll see if we get surprised. All right. So CCI 40 grain, 1,070 feet per second, 72 feet per second, something like that. So those cycled just fine. Now we're going on to American Eagle, high velocity. All right, we had 2 successful ones there. So go back and load some more. We're going to keep shooting. So now we're shooting the Remington 525 Golden Bullet. Run a couple magazines through this. All right, a couple failure to extracts on that one. Go ahead and another mag. Another failure to extract. All right, so they just don't have enough kick to slide it all the way back. So that's the Remington 525 Golden Bullet. So now we're gonna go ahead and run some Federal bulk 550 through here. A couple magazines. All right, that cycled, no problems. That was really good, really snappy. So like that one so far. We just finished shooting a couple hundred rounds through the Glock 44, and we just want to show you what we have here. We have a selection of ammo. So most of this stuff, some of it is not subsonics. Most of it is. Most of your subsonics are not cycling through here, and that's something that I would assume on an automatic that you would have some type of cycling issues. So not a big surprise there. All your hypersonics that we have here today went through. This only one in question is the Remington. That one didn't. That one had a lot of failure to the Remington 525 was the only one that really had some failures on it. Failure to cycle on here, but your Guayla, CCI, American Eagle, Federal, all those other hypersonics, they ran through here nice and clean. So we're gonna go ahead and show you part of the perks of running a system like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and get geared up and then we'll set back into it. All right, so here we are again. We've done some review on the Glock 44, but what this is for is the bread and butter of training. Okay, so being able to get out and get some rounds down range. So what you can do is, if you're a competition shooter, you most likely already know this, but for everyone else out there that doesn't do this on a regular basis, you can go ahead and you can pick up a bolt for most of your rifles, and that will allow your rifles to cycle 22 long rifle. So I missed that ejection there, but it allows your rifle to cycle 22 long rifle through your 5.56, since they're essentially the same diameter bullet, but it just doesn't have the big bottleneck casing. So now what I can do is I can go out here and I can practice all day long with this is my competition gun. I can run with this competition gun all day, and as long as I'm using something that's similar to a Glock 19, which typically I run the Faxon Hellfire, so it's based off the Glock 19 platform. So I'm going to be able to get some very realistic training shooting 22 long rifle. So I'll be able to go all day on a $20 box of ammo. Whereas if I was shooting 5.56 or 223 with the exact caliber that's meant for the BDC in my scope, and then running the 9mm out of my Glock 19 platform pistol, I'm going to have quite a bit of money wrapped up in just a day of practice. Okay, so what you can do is you can transfer these over. You can get a lot of practice time with your gun, get used to it, get your familiarization. Of course, you're not going to be reaching out long range with these things, but you'll see here in just a second all the stuff that we can do with it. So let's go ahead and step on down range. Did I hit you? Man, that was a lot of fun. So we just did a little bit of training with our Glock 44. So we're in the middle of downloading and clearing our gear here. The funnest thing about this is you get to run 22 long rifle all day, guilt-free. All right. So a little bit of breakdown on this. We had a couple things that we noticed when we were shooting. I'll give you a breakdown of the gun here first before we get into that. So this is the Glock 44, and it's chambered in 22 long rifle. And the idea behind this being chambered in 22 long rifle is that this is the exact same size, dimensions, and everything as your Glock 19, which is the most popular handgun on the planet. Okay, so what they've done is they wanted to make one of these. There's been a lot of conversion slides and things like that done over the years, but what they wanted is they wanted their own product that they could use, and you could use directly in place of your 19. So what you can do now is you can train with this for pennies versus going out and spending a lot of money on a range day. So just to start off with, the Glock 19 is just like the newer generation frames. On the bottom here, you have the no front grips. You don't have any of the front grips on there. It has the flared mag well. It has the ambidextrous slide stop on here, so you can actuate it on left and right. Has your typical Glock trigger safety. You have your front serrations on here, and these front serrations are really, they really match the newer generation. All this feels the same, but the only thing that you feel that's a little bit different is this is a polymer infused slide. So this slide has metal reinforcement in all the components and everywhere on the rails, everywhere that it needs metal. But then the rest of it is polymer infused all the way around. So this gives you a lot more, this gives you a little weight savings on here, so that you can, when it's just a lighter gun, you can maneuver it just a little bit faster. They've also come out with a different set of night sights regular sights on here. So these are the standard adjustable sights, but what they've done with these adjustable sights is they've slimmed them down just a little bit. These sights are slimmer and they're more snag resistant on a lot of your clothing and stuff like that you may be shooting and getting around, things like that. But what this does is you can take this out and it will accept any type of Glock 19 sights so if you have a preferred set, I'm a Trijicon fan myself, so you can take those out and you can swap them out. So a lot of people like the big U-notch, some do, some don't. So for some people, that's the first thing you change your sights. Some people, they love them and they wouldn't shoot without them. But that's also one of the perks of this, is that these things are all interchangeable. A lot of the other things are going to be interchangeable too, so if you get a preference with magazine releases or the funnel mags and stuff like that you can put on the bottom, so you get the grip wells and things that you want to add to it to make it run more like your comp gun or your carry gun, you have the ability to do this. So these things come with a 10-round magazine. All right, 10-round magazine has these little thumb springs on here that allow you to put this down on the table and feed these in. Now, I've seen a couple of other people did a little bit of my homework on this gun, and I've seen a lot of other reviewers saying that they were getting sore thumbs from just loading these things, because just grasping this and putting it in here. But the reason that is because you're shooting so many rounds. As soon as you get this thing and you start shooting it, you just start going through the ammo like it's nothing, which is great because it's guilt-free, because it's 22 long rifle. You can buy this stuff by the bucket. But what this is it pushes down, put the round in, and then it helps you, it assists you in loading. Now, as you can see, this round is very oversized for just a single stack of 10. So for those of you that wish they would have come out with a larger capacity, I wouldn't worry too much about that, because I think that this is going to be one of those things that within a couple weeks you're going to have the aftermarket's going to be coming out with quad stacks inside of here, and you're going to start getting these high capacity magazines and 20 rounds plus very easily on this. So with the few things that we ran into with this gun that we were looking at, like cycling and a couple other things that we ran into, I'm really not too worried about any of this, because everything that they're going to come out with is going to, I mean, everything the aftermarket is going to rapidly address any issue that this gun may have had. So speaking about that, let's go ahead and jump into it. So we ran all kinds of ammunition through here. So we've got a bunch of 22 grain, we got a bunch of 22 long rifle, 40 grain subsonics. We have a couple standard velocities, and then we had a bunch of different calibers, and had a bunch of different grain weights and everything. So we ran all these. So pretty much everything on this side of the table is good to go. We had no cycling issues with any of these. Where we ran into a lot of our cycling issues is everything that gets down to the subsonic set. As soon as you start getting down to that subsonic range, that's when you start having all some of your cycling issues in here. But then again, like I was saying, the aftermarket itself is going to address that very quickly. So it's only going to be a hot minute before somebody pops out with the new spring set or something like that. They're going to come out with all the triggers just the same as all the other Glock stuff. But where this is going to shine and where this weapon is really going to take off is the fact that I've been running a Glock in competition for years, and because I'm a retired law enforcement, and they give such big deep discounts for law enforcement, military, first responders and stuff like that. So there's a lot of people that have these in their daily carry. They got them in their saves, their home defense or whatever. So what that's going to do is that's going to lend itself to be shot a lot. One of the things that you can get out and do is just like with this is my Faxon competition rifle. This is what I've been running in most of my races. But one of the things that you can get is you just get the aftermarket bolt carrier assembly. Pull this out. You just a different bolt. You just buy one of these for 150 bucks maybe at the most. Drop that in there. Now I can run 22 long rifle with these special mags all day long. Now the only reason I bring these up is not, it has nothing to do with Glock, by the way, but the only reason I bring that up is because now I can come out here with this box of bullets. This thing's got a couple hundred rounds in it. So I can sit here and train all day, or I can train for 2 or 3 days, or a whole week, depending on my shooting style. And I can sit here and I can run my competition gear. I can run into issues with loading issues. I can load, download, getting into awkward shooting positions. I can run into every problem I can out here just running on 22 and get a lot of reps in. I can get very proficient with my handgun and my rifle just using 22. Now what that does is that allows me to use all of your standard holsters. So this is actually a 17 holster, a Glock 17. So this is the next one up. But all it takes for even the 17 holsters is just to tighten these 2 screws down. So you get a chance to use this gun with a lot of different applications, a lot of different pieces of equipment. So you're going to be able to put it in there and really work it into training and get out there and get a lot of shots down range. As far as the magazine capacity, I really wouldn't worry too much about that because they're going to be coming out with bigger magazines. Aftermarket will. The barrel length on this is 4 inches. So the overall length of the slide, the length of the gun is 7 1/4 inches. The overall length of the slide itself, just the top, is going to be right at 6.8. The overall width of the gun, the total width of the gun is about 1 1/4 inches, but the slide itself, just the metal piece, is right at 1 inch. So this is a very small, compact package. It's part of the reason Glock is such a world-renowned name in defensive carry pistols, things like that. So one of the things I also want to talk about on here is they have their marksman barrel that comes standard with this. So this has a very slim barrel in here. So as this thing cycles, and as it goes back and forth, I'm going to just cycle it back and forth. As it cycles back and forth, it doesn't tilt or cant as much as or as dramatically as the others. So as soon as the aftermarket catches up and they start putting suppressed barrels out and thread barrels out, and you start putting suppressors on here, you're going to have a lot less flip of that muzzle. Or if you start putting muzzle devices on here, if you want to shoot in some type of competition that allows the 22 rimfire competitions. So this thing just stays in place as it cycles. And then on top of that, with the marksman barrel, this thing is pretty accurate. We're able to go out to 150 yards with this. And the only reason I don't think I was ringing the steel every time. It's just my own marksmanship capability and just, you know, just pulling the trigger a little bit too much. So I think this thing could ring steel 125 yards, 150 yards all day long. So I really like this. I think that this is going to be a great addition to your arsenal, and this is going to be a great training tool, which is going to be the most important thing. So we'll see you next time at Gun Stuff.